Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Beth O'Connor, and I'm a technology trainer at LIBOR. And today's topic is, which is the better CMA, Stratus or RPR? And I'm excited to do this. I haven't done this before, even though I teach both of them, because I do get that question a lot. Which one should I use? So we're going to go over both, and we're going to talk, and you're going to make your decision before the end of this hour. First of all, let's just go over some of the housekeeping. I am recording this session, and I will post it on Stratus on the Support Center as soon as I get it published, hopefully later today. We're also holding it again in December, so if anybody wants to come a couple of times, that'd be great too. We also have some classes and things I'll tell you about at the end. So again, I'm recording this, and you can just really sit back and watch and sort of make your own decision, and then you can pursue some more training if you need it. I can't hear your questions if you're speaking, but if you type them into the questions box over on the right-hand panel that says go to webinar on it, I'll be able to manage those as I go through each segment. So we'll probably answer questions about Stratus CMA when we finish that, and then when we go to the RPR CMA, we'll answer those questions, and then during the final wrap-up too, we'll pursue those questions. So I just want to do a quick little poll here and find out what experience level we've got in this group here. So I put up a slide that says, how many years have you held a real estate license? And the answers are coming in. Wow. All right, I'm going to share the responses with you in just 1 second. Okay, everybody voted? So let's see what the results are. So 35% of you more than 10 years, and 20% 5 to 10 years. 30% of you less than a year. So that's going to be I'm going to give you folks some interesting advice. But this does help me manage. We've got a real mix, and nobody wanted to check off the so long you know I'm old, but that's me, because I've been with LIBOR for 35 years. So that's how I would have to answer that question. So let me close that poll. We'll get right back to my PowerPoint presentation. My email address is here if you want to jot that down and ask questions afterwards. That would be perfectly fine. I also have attached this handout, the PowerPoint portion of it only, not the parts when I go over to Stratus and RPR, but the PowerPoint parts, which includes RPR Mobile. You can download a copy of that in the handout section there in your GoToWebinar panel. Okay, so, and if you have trouble downloading it, just email me afterwards and I'll send it to you. So you'll have screenshots of some of the things I'm going to show you today. All right, so that's down in the handout section. And let's close up the polls, make sure everybody can see. If you've gotten jumped in a little bit late, this is being recorded, so you'll have access to it after the session. So let's go on to the next screen. So first I want to talk a little bit about the Stratus CMA. And one of the main things that makes it the most popular or the most heavily used one is that it is so familiar to those of you who are experienced agents. You can crank one of these out probably in, maybe a half hour, 45 minutes. The hardest part is finding the comps, but putting together the various elements is very, very quick, and sometimes that's worth a lot. You do have this quick comparison report here. This side by side, you can do it even without the CMA. I'll show you that real quick. So sometimes if you're just in such a big hurry, you want to get a very fast list of comps out to your seller. That can be a good option as well. I like the listing carts, and I'm going to show you how to use those for your CMA. You do have pretty easy ability to put public records onto your CMAs from Stratus. So if there's a for sale by owner and whatnot. And the letter and the cover and things like that, there's a lot more personalization, I would say, for the seller on the Stratus CMA than there is on the RPR CMA. The cover will have their name on it. It'll have this nice letter. You'll be able to put your marketing plan. I think that's my next bullet point there is this, the detailed marketing plan. So I'll show you that. And that's something that they don't have in RPR, but you could always create one and add it in your RPR CMAs. Let me just make sure everybody is good hearing me. Let's see. Okay, look, hopefully everybody, one person said she can't see what I'm showing, but I'm assuming since it was only one that all of you can see my screen. Okay. All right. So let's now talk about the RPR CMA and some of the advantages of that. The first biggest advantage is this RVM, this Realtor's Valuation Model. Over all the years that I've been teaching CMA, realtors have sort of wished that the computer would help them pick the price or tell them what the price of the house should be. And now that the technology is getting more advanced, it's not going to be anything like your experience, but it will come pretty close on that RVM, and we'll talk about that. It allows you to include the upgrades that the property has had and include any needed improvements, like maybe it needs a new roof or things like that, and that can affect the value. You can also rate each comp individually. So if you have 3 sold comps, maybe one of them is really an awesome comp, but the other 2 not so much. You can kind of lower their value in this, and that's something you cannot do in Stratus. You can put together this report that shows how the local market conditions are going to affect the sale of their house, the view, the things like that. I'm going to show you all of this. There is a seller proceeds report in this one, and there's a very advanced report called the valuation workbook, which is really similar to what an appraiser does. And maybe some of you have appraisal background or you are an appraiser, and you're going to want to see how incredible that is. We don't have time in this 1 hour to go over the valuation workbook and show you that. I'm going to show you what they call the seller's report, but I will show you where it is and where you can get training on that as well. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to end up showing you is the mobile CMA. Now, we're going to come back to this in just a second, but this is a screenshot of the mobile RPR. So if while I'm going through this, you want to put RPR on your phones while we're chatting, then you can probably follow along with me. If not, you'll have copies of this and you can do it on your own time. Okay, so let's get right over to Stratus. And this is the property that I'm going to do the CMA on. The address is 73 Acorn Lane in Levittown. It is expired. It expired at the most recent price, which was $549. However, the realtor did not connect all of the public records over the time. They started at over 600,000 on this, and I was able to find that out on Zillow. Oddly enough, because if you don't connect your listings with the public record every time, then it may not show that price history. So we could also find that probably if we go to the history here at the top, you can see also all the price changes there as well. So you can see they started at 625. I see that right here, 625. Okay, so lots of price changes, nothing happened. And when we do our research, we're going to find out that this house is right across the street from the Village Green in Levittown, which can be a pretty active, busy, perhaps even noisy part of town. And there's a commercial building right across the street. So that is going to affect the value, and we're going to have to take that into account when we do the CMA. Alrighty, so the first thing I want to show you is how I could use the listing carts in Stratus to sort of start collecting my comps. I love doing it separately because once you get over into the CMA, it just is a lot of other things to do, and it's nice if you can get this work done first. So in Stratus, we have under My Lists, your menu may be over here on the side, in which case you'll go to My Lists over here, Listing Carts. okay? And I'm going to create a new cart for 73 Acorn in Levittown. And this is going to be the holder for all the comps that I search for, and then I can throw them into the CMA without having to write down any ML numbers and things like that. So I love that part. So let's start a search. And we're going to actually start on the map. That's how I prefer to do it. I just toggle over here to map search, and then I continue. And the map will open wherever your office is or wherever you've located it, which is, for me, nowhere near Levittown. So I'm going to click on locations. Actually, I really wanted to do unavailables for you. So let's do that. Let's start that again. So we'll just do that real quick. Search, map. We want to do unavailable this time and continue. And we're going to put in that location again, 73 Acorn. It's Acorn Lane in Levittown, New York. Got to put New York because there's a Levittown in Pennsylvania. And it puts a push pin right on that address, okay? Even though it's not on MLS right now, it still knows where that property is. Now, I would want to zoom in because there's just going to be too many properties. It won't show anything until you get much closer. And probably what you're going to want to do is draw on the map to narrow it down. So I'm going to select my drawing tools over here. I'm going to select the polygon, and I'm going to stay in the neighborhood south of Hempstead Turnpike, and I'm going to stay in between Gardner's Avenue and Wantagh Avenue. You'll be able to find plenty of comps. Of course, I took the easy route and chose Levittown for this webinar. So it's got solds, blue are solds, purples are expired. If you're not sure, just check the legend. It'll tell you what they mean, right? Blue is closed, purple is expired, green is under contract. This is a pretty hot market, so you can see a tremendous number under contract and sold in the last, this would be 3 years worth what we're looking at. Not very many expired listings. So in order to make sure we're not looking at 3 years of comps, we want to come down here on the right side panel and put in a title date. I'm going to go back to October, September. I'm going to go back to August. I think today's the 13th. We'll just do 3 months. So now we have some comps. And if you want, you can put in the bedrooms and baths. This property is a 4-bedroom and it has 2 full baths. And now you're kind of narrowing things down so you can really, it does have 2 floors, so we could do colonial, but somebody might have called it something else. They might have called it a farm ranch or something like that. So as you hover over them, you'll be able to see, this is an excellent comp, actually. It's $492, which is getting closer to what we think it's going to sell for. And it's 2 stories, looks recently renovated. So what I'm going to do is click on the cart here, and I'm going to put it in the 73 Acorn cart. And then we'll just continue looking. There's another 490, looks like a brand new house. We're going to put that in the Acorn. I'll put 3 in here. And that one sold for pretty high. Let's keep moving on because ours is on a very busy street. This one, oh, gee, that picture is not very good. One more look. Yeah, this one is the one I wanted. Okay, so I'm going to put that one in our cart as well. So now that I've got those sold listings in my cart, one thing I could do if I was just in a really big hurry, I just really need to get quickly to the seller's house and I just don't have time to do the whole CMA, you can come right over to your listing cart. So I'm going to go back to the main listing cart and I'm going to go to the results. So those 3 properties are there. And from this view, I'm going to use my icons at the top. If I click on view up here at the top, this is the broker full, right? You're familiar with this, but you could change this to the comparison. And that would just line up those comps side by side so that you could bring this report to the seller. You can just print and run out the door. And that's a really quick way, even though it's not a complete CMA, at least it's going to give you some sense, and it does show you the sold prices at the bottom and how long they were on the market. So that's going to be critical. You won't be able to see all the pictures, but you could print a different report that showed the pictures of each one of them. That's called the photo gallery. So you would maybe print that page and then this for each one of those listings, and then out the door you go. But if you have time to do your full CMA, I'm going to click on CMA here. And I've already started one, but if you're starting it fresh, you're going to click on New CMA here at the top. I'm going to click Edit because I just wanted to get it going a little bit so you didn't have to watch me typing, which can be painful. The seller's name is Agnes Parisi. Now, frankly, I just feel all of this is just way more than is necessary. I'm not going to use this to keep track of my clients because it won't show in my phone or my address books anywhere else. So it's just a little bit too much. And you can actually even uncheck this and not put the name of the seller on the CMA at all if you don't want to. You don't have to put these details. But if I do the first and last name, at least that's what will show on the cover of the CMA. And then I come down here to the subject property. And I've already auto-filled. All you need to do really, let me just see if I still have, if I can paste, oh, it's not the right one. I had put, just remove all that. Sorry, this is something I'd copied and pasted, but I don't think it'll hurt anything. But you can type the ML number, and that's what I did, and that auto-filled. From that expired listing, I just put it right in there, and that auto-filled this. Now, if it wasn't your listing, make sure you get that description out of there. That's copywritten if it was written by somebody else. And you may want to take off that suggested showing price, or you might even want to put in a lower one, something like that. Maybe take out all these other pictures. You could probably use this front one that was there from that other listing. I think you could use it on a CMA. You're not going to publish it because it wasn't your photo, right? But you just delete all the other pictures, okay, as you need to. I won't spend time on that. You have your agent section. If you're working in a team, you can put the other agent name here. And then here's the cover. Remember I said it would have her name on it. It has the photo of the house, your picture. I have no idea how that minion got there, but I think he brings me good luck, so I've just kind of left him alone there. But you can customize this page. You can have your company logo at the top. You can do colors, things like that. And then this letter. Now I customized the letter. I put this in bold and larger. I just typed it out like I was typing in Word, and I made it bolder because people don't really like to read these paragraphs. I think we all know that now, but this really kind of stands out, and I set that as my default for every CMA. Now, the convenient part about that listing card here is if you look at comparables, I can click on Add from Listing Cart here and choose that 73 Acorn Lane, and I can just plop those three in there. Okay, so that really makes it simple. And if you know of a for sale by owner, you could search the public records and find that there. Even when you search public records, it won't tell you it was a for sale by owner, but you may know about some on your own just by keeping track of the market. And then I mentioned the marketing plan. That's nice for you to put in specifically what you plan to do for the seller, step by step, week by week. Just kind of keep a generic list going here, and attachments and things like that. So for those of you who have been using this forever, I'm not showing you anything that you don't already know. And if you are a new agent, I'm going to suggest that you try the other CMA I'm going to show you in just a second first. You can try this one as well, but I think you're going to see that in my opinion, the RPR is a much more advanced tool, and especially as a new agent, it will help you stand apart from long experienced agents who are all using this same CMA. There's a lot of these out there. So I'm going to roll right into, let me just make sure I've covered everything in Stratus. I'm going to check on questions on Stratus if anybody has those now. Just go ahead and type it into the questions box. All right, I don't see anything. So let's talk about RPR. Now there's a couple ways you can get to RPR if you don't currently use it. Oh, I didn't save my CMA, so let's hit save. It is important to save it every once in a while. That's a little bit of a disadvantage. You don't want to lose it. So you can get to RPR from the Stratus Info Center by clicking on Realtor Property Resource right over here on the side. And if you're not familiar with RPR, it is a product of the National Association of Realtors, of which you are a member. So this is your member benefit from NAR. And the database covers all 50 states. And it is for realtors only. It is not a consumer site. So if you think of it like Zillow, it has property records and it has properties for sale. It has all that information in one place, but it is only for realtors. So it's going to have a little extra information that the consumers won't have access to. There's another interesting place where you can come. I made Acorn one of my favorite listings. So let me just open that up and show you. If you're in your listing and you want to go to RPR, or even just check out what RPR says the value of it is, you've got a link at the top of every property here. So that's how I'm going to go. And it's going to open this 73 Acorn Lane automatically for me. All right. If I was in the home page, if I just had started, opened my account, I would go to all properties and type in that 73 Acorn Lane. It's not for sale right now. It expired. So you have to make sure you're looking in the public records. Now I have it already starred as a favorite so that I could not have to type that again. I love the little star. You can change the name of it. You can put the seller's name or something like that, or just that you have a CMA. I think their maps are, their Street View map is just a little bit better. I'm just going to click on Street View and watch. So this is what the house looked like before the renovation. It was just a typical tiny, and actually almost looks like an original Levittown cape. That's pretty amazing. There aren't many originals left at all. But right across the street is this commercial building with trucks and a parking lot, and then that's the Village Green over there. So this is a busy street, and you can also see that it is a corner. So you're going to have traffic on two sides of the house, not just one side. So those are important. The overhead view, I think it's just for some reason these maps are just a little bit better. They are Google Maps. They're just a little bit better than the Stratus maps. Okay. So let's see. We first want to just take a look at the history here. So you have the summary tab. That's where we are. We get the basic owner facts. I'll talk about RVM in just a second. And you're just going to keep scrolling down. You'll see the home facts where you can make updates. Okay, it's already got the correct information from that previous listing. You also have history. That's going to tell you if there was a mortgage, a lien, distressed information, things like that is going to be under history. And charts gives you a lot of market activity information here. Okay, so back to summary. Let's talk about the RVM. So in this case, the house expired at 5/49. And RPR has calculated, and when I say RPR, I mean the computer, the algorithm that they use has calculated and looked at other properties that are similar and is giving it a valuation of 487. Now it's called a realtor's valuation model because it's better than the Zillow Zestimate, which is also a type of valuation model. But this one has the sold data that your MLS has sent. So if something sold next to this house, let's say this one sold last week, Zillow doesn't know about it yet because we're not sending Zillow that kind of information, but we do send it to RPR and they can use it, and this will be completely up to date with that. And they give it a confidence score of up to 5 stars if they feel that they have enough really good data. You can see it's changed a little in the last month. There's always going to be some up and down. And the last time usually once a month, the valuation gets mentioned or dated there. Underneath you have view details. I kind of like this. This could actually almost be a very quick CMA. This is the RVM, and these are the properties that they chose to come up with that RVM price of 487. Okay, these are the properties. And they have not been inside these houses, and they're also not taking into account that some of them are capes and not colonials, which this new one has become. So the computer is only so good at coming up with those numbers, and that's why this is the key number here. This 448 to 525 is the range that they believe this house will sell in. The top number is if it is above average in every single way: location, quality, the upgrades, the rebuilding, everything they did. And the 448 would be a property that's really way below average, so somewhere in between there. Now, while this property was recently renovated, it is on a very busy corner, and we know that it did not sell when it was listed at 549. So that's telling us a lot here already. So what we can do, though, that I love in RPR is we can actually refine this value. So if after you've been looking at listings and you know Levittown like the back of your hand, your thinking is somewhere around 490 to 499 that this should be listed at. So you need to take some other things into account that maybe the computer didn't know about. So what we're going to do is click on refine right here and go through these steps one by one. Right now we're still at the 487,020, right? And we're going to go through these steps and watch how we can adjust this number to what we think is a proper number. So right now it's actually a total of 7 rooms, and it has 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. So the public record data still showed the smaller house, okay? And so now we'll apply those changes, and you can see we've adjusted it by 18,000. Now I didn't change the living area because when I tried that yesterday, it increased the value by $100,000, and it's not correct. So I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to just use what is working for me. So now we've got a good number here. We're getting close. Here, the second one, we can put in the home improvements. Now this had a whole second floor added and was completely updated. So I'm just going to call it a 2-story addition and $60,000. Let's say it was done in February of this year and the cost was $60,000. When I click on add that, this is the depreciation amount from that 60,000. They spent the 60,000, and that increases the value at this point in time by 38,000. Okay, so now we're way up high here, 543. But this hasn't taken into account the location, and that's what we're going to do next. Also, though, we can put in needed improvements. Let's just say maybe it looked like it had absolutely no landscaping. So we're going to say it probably could use, we'll just put in 5,000. Especially being on such a busy corner, somebody might want to put some privacy landscaping up, all right? So that added the 5,000. Now we're down to 538. So these sliders, though, down here is what's really going to help us get to the right number, okay? So first of all, it's a good market there. We're not going to call it really hot. We're going to leave it at the middle there. The home exterior, we're going to just plop that down just a tiny bit. Interior is pretty good compared to comparable properties. We're comparing it with other remodeled homes. The lot size is good, but the view is part of the problem, and the privacy is also part of the problem. So I'm going to slide those things down. And now what I'm going to do is really get closer to my number that I'm recommending, right? 486. So it's going to take some playing with for you to get this just right. You don't even have to show this, though, on your CMA if you don't want to. It's completely optional whether you show that. All right. So let's go ahead and now one thing that's really interesting is that what I've done here to this property, 73 Acorn Lane in Levittown, will stay in my account, me, Beth O'Connor, in my RPR account forever unless I remove it. Nobody else is going to see this. No other realtor who logs in is going to ever see what I've done here. This is just my own work. It's all private to your account. Okay, so we'll go back to our summary page here. And now you can see your refined value, which is still pretty close to that RVM, which is kind of interesting. So now we want to find some comps. All right, so we're going to go to the comp analysis. You can go right here, or you can click here on create. I'm just going to check for questions on that refined value. Edward is saying, seems to me these programs are not very helpful if you are not intimately associated with the property. That is true. Square footage can help a lot, and many realtors, though, don't calculate the square footage. If you're in Nassau or Queens, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but if you're in Nassau or Queens, you're going to see square footage on these public records, but in Suffolk County, many of the townships don't have square footage of the interiors. So you know, certainly when you want to look at these pictures and get as much information as possible, you can tell a lot about a house by going through the pictures, right? You definitely want to do this. If it's never been on MLS before, then you're going to have to ask some questions of the seller before you do it, or ask them if you can do a walkthrough first and then prepare. That I sold my house in March, and that's what happened. Both realtors came, did a walkthrough, talked to us about what they'll do, and then they returned back to us with the market analysis a few days later. So I don't know if that's the norm, but that's how it worked for us, and I thought that was great. All right, so now we're going to go and look at comps. So I'm going to click on this comp analysis. And it's a 5-step process, and there's 2 options here. There's a comparative analysis and a sales comparison analysis. It's a mouthful. We want the seller's report, or what they call a seller's report and we call a CMA, is the first one. Okay, there's a little video that shows the difference, but the basic difference is this one is for appraisers. If you know something about how appraisers deduct the value of a bathroom or a bedroom, or one comp has a very large lot and the other doesn't, you can actually adjust your comps that way. But most realtors just use the comparative analysis. Okay, that's the CMA. So I'm going to just confirm the facts. Just make sure that everything is in here accurately. Your 2 bedrooms, your 2 baths, your lot size is already there. The only reason you would type in here is if something really important was missing. So I'm going to confirm the facts and close. And now we're on to step 2, finding the comps. And one of the things I love about this is that it's all combined. Do you remember when I was in Stratus, I had to do the map, and then I had to go back over and put the criteria. I mean, you do have your criteria panel on the side, but this will even show our comps that we've picked. It's just all kind of one-stop shop. I do like that. So in our MLS, we don't have an active pending status, so you would choose under contracts and sold if you even want under contracts. You don't know what the contract price is. So those are I'm going to include, and we can include public records if we wanted, right? I'm going to leave that out for now. And we do want off-market properties just within the last 6 months. We need to adjust our bedrooms. Let me just check my notes here. Yeah, we want to do 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. And the living area is fine, but I'm going to recommend that if you're doing a CMA on a property in Suffolk County, uncheck this box, because there are so many listings in our MLS that do not have square footage, interior square footage, nor does the public record have the interior square footage. So it would be a problem if you put that in. So just don't use that. And then we're just going to click on search, and we're going to have some listings. Now, we got 45 sold properties, and down below that will be our availables, which is really too much. So there's a couple things we can do. The first thing we can do is draw our map, just like we did before. So I'm going to draw the polygon like I did on Stratus. Same way, you just create your dots, just like our childhood dot to dot, right? And then search in this area. But the other thing I like is being able to put in keywords. So I'm going to click on modify search here. And since this is a renovated house, I'm going to put the word renovated in, right? I'm going to add that as a keyword. I'm also going to put the word updated because some listings will say that. Just whatever word you can think of. Watch what happens when I click search, how it will narrow this down. Because we don't want to compare it to, say, an original Levitt house that hasn't had any work done to it. It's still searching, spinning, 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 as if I asked it too much. Okay, so now it did. It's really down to a much smaller number, and we can go through these 12 comps and see what we think, okay? And it's easy to add them. You just check this box here to add it to your comps list. So if maybe you're already familiar with this one, it's only 0.818 miles from the subject property. It's very close by and was only on the market for 92 days, sold for $492. Similar, very similar. We're going to just add that to our comps list. Now, if you want to explore one further, so for example, this one here, maybe you're kind of curious, why did that sell for $437? If I click on the address, it actually opens a new tab in my browser. I can come right back to the CMA or the seller's report if I want, but I can go through this. This threw me off the first couple of times I did it. I thought, how do I get back to my CMA? Just click on your browser tab for where you were before, and that's how you get back. So I'm going to just randomly pick. What I'm going to do in a very short period of time is something that would take you a lot longer to do. And again, we're looking for, here we go. This one was very recent. And we're going to add those 3 to our comps list. And maybe we can find something currently on the market for less than that, so that we can, yeah, so here's one that's even more, a little fancier than our subject, but look how long it's been on the market, for $239, and that was even lower than their $549. So I'm going to throw that one in. But this is all up to you, and if you're a new agent, you're going to need the experience of an experienced agent in order to start making those selections. But I'm going to click on Update Valuation and close. And now what I've got here is the average of my comps, this 485. And this kind of threw me off, this range here. It's not a range of what I chose. It's a range of the square footage. It says here the calculated price and range are based on per square foot. So, so you can edit this. And again, you don't have to show this when you print your report. All right. So now I can adjust my comps. This is what I think is one of the most powerful things in the RPR that you don't have in Stratus. So I'm going to click on Adjust Comps. And the first thing I can do is I can decide which comp comes first. So remember, we thought that we really do like this one, but we want to move this one over to the second position. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, and the next page has the 4th one on it. Okay, and you can compare an earlier record or the public record or refined value. You've got really a lot you can do there. I have to say I don't really use that very much, but what is so cool is how you can rank these properties compared to the subject. So how does this property compare to our subject property? Well, I think it's a little bit better, okay? And this one I think is a little bit smaller, okay? And this one we're going to say is also a little bit smaller. Okay, so we're back at our 497. We're really kind of getting close here. All right, you can also show larger photos here if you want. You can go through all the pictures again if you need to while you're ranking your comps. Actually, they look so similar, don't they? This one has a garage. This one, I can't tell if that's a garage. I have to look at it. Okay, so once you do that, you can even put notes at the bottom here and you've done your adjustments. So I'm going to click on Update Valuation and Closed. And now my comp analysis, my opinion is that we should be in this at this 497 number. But I'd like to round that off. I think the 497 is, I'm going to say 495. And we probably don't recommend higher than 499. Or no lower than 469. And again, you can, what did I do wrong here? 499, oh, the 469 was supposed to be here. Okay, and then we save that. But again, you don't have to show all of these elements when it's time to print your report. Okay, I'm going to check for questions before we actually go to the report. If you have any questions on what I've shown you in RPR here about searching for the comps, just type them into the questions box. If you joined us late, I am recording this, so we will post it and you can catch up at another time. We're also going to run this same webinar again in December. I'll get you the date. All right. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the creating the seller's report. Just click on Create. And because we kind of started with that comp analysis, it's assuming that we want this, what's called the seller's report. And the first thing to do is kind of look at the sample, because then you'll be able to see it's 75 pages long, about, depending on how many comps you've chosen. So you really want to be familiar. Do you want all of these? This is that really cool sheet that shows the market conditions and your refined value. Do you want all of these printed and included in the report? Maybe not. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. So what you're going to be able to do is click on this more details page here, link here, and then you can uncheck the elements you don't want. Okay, so if you decided you don't want that comp analysis range or result or something like that, you just uncheck, and you can see it by hovering over that little information bubble there. All right, you can take some of these numbers off if you don't want them to show on the report. Maybe you don't want to show the refined value if it didn't come out exactly what your recommendation is, because some of this is really just your judgment and your experience. So one of the things I like to take off, that they always include the recent market activity and all these sold listings. So that would be confusing, if you asked me, confusing to the seller to have other listings in the CMA that are not the comps. Okay, so you can uncheck and it'll remember what you do here for the next time, and you can always adjust. All right. So we recommend, we'll have a pricing strategy. There is a seller proceeds report, which I did not fill out, but I just want to show you what it looks like. And just other decisions here for you before you actually go and print it. So once you're ready, you can personalize it. You can put the name of the seller here, a little message. That's great if you're going to email it. But I'm going to actually just display it now, and then it'll be downloaded as a PDF. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it here at this and click on Run Report. Now, it doesn't come up automatically. It takes a minute or so, and you can go on and work while you're doing that, or just go and take a deep breath. The nice thing about these reports is that they'll stay in your account, in your RPR account, for 30 days. If you think you're going to need it for longer than that, then just download it. It's a PDF. Just put it, you would just click right on this plus sign here, and you could download it to your own computer. You can also delete from here as well. Okay, you can rerun it too if you need to. Okay, so it says it's still finalizing, and I'm going to have a little doorbell that comes up as soon as it's ready to go. On this side, you have your cover page elements, all of the items that you might want to include, and any kind of custom pages. So let's say you wanted to put that marketing plan in here. You could add it. You just need a PDF. Any kind of custom things that you want to include would be done there. So my report is ready. I'm going to download and show you how it looks. So we have that great photo. We have this sort of summary page. And remember, this is all up to you whether or not you're going to show this. Okay. These are the facts about the home. A little more detail about the home. Now this page, what I think it could really help with is those difficult conversations. So sometimes you have a property that has, maybe a lot of pets, a lot of animals, and so you have a lot of pet smells. And so you're just going to kind of slide down this home interior a little bit, and you're going to see the dollar amount. But it just might help you with that conversation of how that's going to affect how it shows. Things like that, the view, the privacy. There's something about the data being on a piece of paper that is going to help you with those difficult conversations. Okay. And then we have the property photos. I think I probably would take these out because they're from the last listing. I didn't take the time to take them out, and there were a lot and all over the place. So you've got one thing that I love in RPR is all these charts and graphs, and you're going to run into sellers these days who really find this information very, very helpful. So it's going to show from 2008 how you had the dip and then you had the climb again. So it can be great to include these kind of reports. There's all the activity where it was first listed at 625, drop, and that can be a helpful graphic as well. And then it has something they call heat maps. This is telling us the estimated home values. So you can see they really come up quite a bit from, say, some of the surrounding areas in this middle part of Nassau County. More graphs, more charts. A lot of this is based on the interior square footage. So that's something to keep in mind if you don't have that information. And again, more, you just cannot get over this. This is probably one of my favorite things. This has the subject properties right here, and it shows the comps, right? And then this is similar to our comparison report that we have in Stratus, but it puts all of the remarks in here as well, which Stratus does not do. Okay. And then I had renamed this one comp because I thought it was a good one. I just renamed it from the address. I should have put it back to the address of the property, but you have the ability to rename any property. Okay, so here's all your comps. And now this is a nice page too. Your recommended pricing strategy. Again, it's optional. You don't have to include it if you don't want to. And it shows the comps and then the averages and then what your recommended price is. And if you're happy with this and they're happy with this, you can have everybody sign it, which is your agreement, okay, before you go to that listing. Here's the seller proceeds. You can put below what they can expect to net at the closing from the low price and the high price, taking into account all of these closing costs. Okay, and then just a little bit of information about RPR. So I'm going to close that seller's report, and just keep in mind that you can then email it at any time. Just click right on reports, or if you're at the home screen, you're just going to click on reports here, and your reports will be over here on the left side. Okay, so that brings us to the RPR mobile that I wanted to show you. So what we just created on the computer can also be created on the RPR mobile app. It's not as detailed, but the finished product is as detailed. It's not as detailed in the terms of picking your comps, but I wanted to show you that. So I did screenshots. Just give me 1 second and I will bring that up on my PowerPoint, okay? If there's any questions about what I showed you on the RPR side, just go ahead and type those in, and I'll stay with you as long as I have to answer questions at the end. So The mobile app in RPR opens like something like this, okay, whatever location you happen to be in. And I'm doing a search then for my 73 Acorn Lane in Levittown. All right, just go ahead and search. The mobile app is just so great, even just for looking at listings. I don't know if anybody uses the old Stratus app, or maybe hopefully you've moved up to using the Collab app. That's a good one too. But this really is quite amazing, the RPR app for you, and it's free. Okay. So I find the 73 Acorn. This is what it would look like on the app. All right. Notice that we can look at some of the details, things like that, descriptions, etc. And when I scroll down below the map, you're going to see this option to create a comp analysis. So imagine this. So let's say over the holidays, Thanksgiving, you're sitting around the Thanksgiving table and your second cousin twice removed says, I had no idea you were a realtor. When did you get your license? Wow, we really have been thinking about selling. And you can say, listen, I can just throw you out some of the recent solds in your area. It won't be a full comp analysis, but I can just quickly just give me the address and I'll throw that in and I can email that to you right now. And so now you're going to be able to just in an instant, you're going to be able to quickly get them a report and start that conversation with them. Of course, you're going to tell them that it's a rough analysis. All right. So once we do that, we want to first, it's a 4-step process. So we want to first confirm the home facts, just like you do on the desktop version. And then you're always going to look for the next. And now you're going to add the comps. But before you start choosing comps, you want to use the filter at the bottom there and put in exactly what you're looking for. Do you want active listings and sold? Do you want to include any distressed, anything like that, right? You just toggle these on and off for yes or no. Then apply your filters. And then you can use these sliders for your filtering as well. How many bedrooms, how many baths, approximate price range, square footage, lot size, things like that. And then down here at the bottom is where you could put those keywords that we did before. So let's say it's a waterfront property, or in our case, it's an updated or renovated property, something like that. So I actually added those words, those keywords here. Okay, and then you're going to apply your filters and you will have a much narrower number of comps once you do that. All right. So as you're looking at the comps, so let me just mention this here, back here at the top. From the map, you can toggle over to the list of properties by using this list at the top. When you're over in the map, this will say list. Yes, right. Okay. So see, when you're in the list, it says map at the top. That'll just toggle back to that map view. If you, after you take some time looking at this one, you want to put it in your report, you just click on Add to Comps. And then you're going to click on Next up here at the top. You can decide, just like you did on the desktop version, which one comes first, second. You can use the sliders at the bottom. How does it compare to the subject property? Click on Next. And then you're going to start working on finalizing that report. Now, it comes up with this number, and you're going to use this pencil to edit that number. This is a little bit lower than we had wanted on our other CMA. So you just go ahead and put in your recommended price and your price range. And of course, if you're doing this rough and dirty, give them a really wide price range here, okay? I'm not even sure you have to put a recommended price in. I'd like to test that, because if you're not familiar and you're just sending to get started, perhaps leave that out and just put the range in. And then it's done. Now you're ready to go. You can download it or email it. I have it set to download. If you toggle over, it will email. And you click on Get Report at the top here. It says your report is generating. It'll take that couple of minutes, and it will look just like the one we did on the desktop. It's amazing. So you can email it off to that person. Actually, when it generates, you're going to have this share here. This was when I was finalizing it, but once it's ready and you click on share, you can either text it or email it. You have that option. I love that part, because then maybe you could get a hold of their cell phone number. Say, hey, can I just text that to you? Okay, I'm going to actually go back and work on see if there's RPR questions before we wrap up. Elise is asking, is there a way to extend the life of the RPR CMA beyond 30 days? Not that I'm aware of, Elise. Just download it to your computer and you'll still have the data, so you can generate the report anytime you want. So it's really just the final PDF that's being saved, but all of your work, your research will save forever. So hopefully that helps you with that. Okay, so there are a couple of other CMA products I wanted to mention. Some of you may have these paid product, you pay for these products. The Cloud CMA is an amazing product, and they are offering our members free access for the rest of 2019. So just go to cloudcma.com and sign up for your free trial. Try it out, see what you think. Geodata Plus, also many of your offices are subscribed to Geodata Plus, and they have a CMA product. And Remine, also those of you who might have a paid Remine account, that has a CMA product as well. All right, and you can go to their websites to get more information about that. We actually don't teach these three products. We actually don't have access to the paid side of it. So but they do have some amazing resources, which I'll give you that information. So if you want to follow up on this, LIBOR has a couple of classes I would recommend. For the Stratus one, we have one called Get the Most from Stratus Maps and CMA. That's a full day, 7.5 hours. And the RPR class, RPR A to Z, also 7.5 hours of CE. And you will really be good at the CMA, and you'll do the mobile portion as well. They'll get you started. Many of those are taught by Jay Gutenberg, who you probably know, who is our RPR expert. And NAR has a lot of video training on the RPR. At the bottom of your RPR pages, anywhere in RPR, just look for that support link, and that will get you some help there. I find YouTube to be so great. When I wanted to see if there was any training on Geodata and Cloud CMA, I just searched those on YouTube, and they're fantastic tutorials on how to use those products. I'm also doing private tutoring. If you want an hour with me, it would be similar to this arrangement. We'd be on the computer, but just you and me. I could hear your voice, you can hear mine. I can see your screen if you want. You can see my screen. And we find it to be just an amazing way to get some help. As a matter of fact, I see a couple of you, Taryn, I see who I've already worked with in a private tutoring. So by all means, give that a try. Just email me and I'll send you the list of dates that I am available. So based on what we've covered, which one do you think is better? That's a question you'll have to answer on your own. I will tell you, new agents, I think that you should focus on learning the RPR CMA and not really spend too much time on the Stratus CMA, because I think that the RPR CMA is more advanced. It's just a more advanced CMA, and it will also help you stand apart from other agents. And I'm just going to check one last time for questions. Oh, and by the way, those of you who joined late, there is a copy of this PowerPoint, just the slides that I did, the ones on when we started and also on RPR Mobile. It's connected here, or you can email me, boconnor@MLSLI, and I can send you that. But it's easier for you to download it right from here. And we'll be posting the recording of this on Stratus on the support center, hopefully by the end of the day today, certainly if not, maybe sometime tomorrow. Okay, I hope everybody, just going to do that one last check for questions. Christine, on the mobile app, how to change the radius on the ad comps portion. I have a feeling it's just a finger. You're just going to tap and drag it, but maybe there's another way, Christine, to do that radius. Maybe there's an, I don't have my phone connected live to show you that right now, but play with that and see what you think. They have some great tutorials as well, but email me if you can't figure that out and we'll do it together. Okay, so I'm going to let you go. I'm so glad you joined us. I hope this was helpful. Have fun. Do an RPR CMA on your own house. Go ahead and have a great time with it so you get familiar, and then you can be ready to go the next time a seller calls. So thanks everybody. Have a great day.